Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to have a look at the camera I'm usually using to film those videos I'm doing. I got the question what camera I'm using to record the videos, so I decided to give you some short introduction to the camera itself, and here it is right in front of me. It's a Sony PXW X70. It's a professional camcorder, by Sony of course, as it says. It looks a bit like the Sony AX100. Nevertheless, it is not the same, to be honest. So if someone tells you, well, it's just an AX100 with a grip on it, well, that's not really true. There are some major differences for me, and so it's not really the AZ100 anymore. Concerning the camera itself, we're going to have a look from the outside quickly. As you can see, it's quite a small camera, or it's, not too big, to be honest. I got some quite big hands, but nevertheless, it's not big and it's not that heavy. It's about 1.5 kilograms. Compared to the AZ100, if we take a look at the back, it's definitely wider than the AZ100 body on this side here, and otherwise it has the same capabilities, of course. Nevertheless, it has a full-grown Hdmi output here, and not this mini Hdmi stuff, and it has an SDI out, which you cannot find on the AZ100 at all. Otherwise, body-wise, as I said, it's wider, but it's nevertheless the same on the side. It also has those switches here for auto manual mode. You can switch between those two modes here, manual and auto. I'll explain it in a minute. And next to that you have the ND filters. So if there is bright sunlight outside, you can have those mechanical ND filters, so you don't have to increase the shutter speed to avoid any bright pictures or anything else like that. On the top side here we can find the zoom wipe for zooming in and zooming out, of course. And there is two more buttons here for focus image filter, focus magnifier, sorry, and the iris push automatic. The magnifier can be used, if you focus manually and you want to focus some really small thing, you can use that. It gives you some small magnification on the screen, and it helps you to focus on the object you want to. Taking a look on the other side, of course, we can find some buttons here. First of all, we start here with the zoom and focus wipe. You can choose what you want to use with those wheels here, or the wheel, it has only one. Some other cameras have two for focus and zoom. Here you have to choose between focus and zoom, so you can switch that. And now I'm zooming, basically. Now I can use the focus if it's set to manual, which you can do directly with the button under it. So it says MF and AF for autofocus, manual focus. And you get the menu switch here, iris gain and shutter speed switch, as well as some, let's say select dial. So if you press iris, for example, you want to change the aperture, you can use this wheel here to go up and down with that. On the side here as well, you can find a headphone jack. I'm usually using a headphone if I'm going with the camera for professional use, because I want to get the audio input, what the camera gets, and not what I'm getting surrounded with the other noises. The microphone probably doesn't record that well. Coming to the grip, it's screwed on top of the camera. You can remove it and just use it as a normal camera with the stereo microphone built in. Of course, the quality isn't that good, but nevertheless it will be enough to record some, let's say, holiday video or whatever you want to do with that. What else we can find here is another switch for start, stop and recording. You can hold it or lock it basically, so you don't accidentally stop recording. And there's another zoom wipe here. And I really prefer or like that one because you can adjust the speed, the zoom speed on that one in the menu. And I put it to really slow, so if I want to have some slow zoom for my videos, I just press it fully and it says fixed here. So it's just like on and off basically. It doesn't change the speed depending on the amount I press it. With that one here it's better because there is way more sensitivity you can push up and down, but here it's almost like full push or no push. So I put it to fixed and really slow speed. On top here you can put another, for example, light or anything else, and there is another screw to put something else on it, whatever you like. On the side here we can find two XLR inputs, for two microphones basically. I'm using a Rode microphone for characteristics like recording some sound or anything else. No stereo microphone generally, because for stereo records I prefer to have a mobile recorder with different microphones, and I can use stereo microphones on that. And also compared to a normal microphone or stereo microphones in a professional way, they are really expensive. On the other side we can find some dials and switches. They are only for the microphone control, so you can select the channels you want to use, for example channel 1 and 2 or just channel 1. You can have some selectings like what like the power you want to put on the microphone. If the microphone needs some power, you can adjust the sensitivity of the microphone either with auto or manual, and you can use the dial here. And you can also have some low cut filters here. The other buttons, and especially the SD card slots and everything else, you can find under the screen. If I open the screen, the camera automatically turns on. And here on the side we have some more buttons, of course, and we have the SD card slots. There are 2 SD card slots available actually, and you can slot select basically with those buttons here, or with this button. If you push it, there are some different options. Actually, there is simultaneous recording, which I use personally because I fear whenever I'm having some broken SD card and it tells me that it's recording, but it doesn't. At least I have the option for the SD card in the B slot. So some things I'm recording, they can't be repeated probably, like a wedding for example. And I'm always on the safe side with that, having both cards inside, recording the same things. And for example, if one card is broken or can't be read on the computer, I at least have the backup card for that. Those other buttons, if you are interested in the camera, you should basically try it out. There are some different modes it does. There's white balance, profile picture, and you can select some presets Sony gives you here. You can review the last scene, for example, status check, all those things you can access with those quick buttons here. Nevertheless, the most important buttons are those 3 here, of course. Now it's set to manual, so I can demonstrate. I'll just put the camera like that for a minute, although it's not the smartest way, but nevertheless it doesn't matter. Here you can see there is the gain selected at the moment, and you can move it up and down, so it gives you plus 33 to the top. It's basically the same if you have a DSLR like ISO. So you move this up, it gives you better light sensitivity or low light sensitivity. Nevertheless, at some point there is some real noise in the picture, so you should really not increase 6 to 9 approximately. I'm using usually 6 if I need it, to be honest. Otherwise, of course, 0 is probably the best. Of course, you can also change the iris, going only up here at the moment. Nevertheless, the lowest aperture is 2.8 and the maximum is f11. And the shutter speed, of course, can be selected as well. By accessing it, you can increase it and decrease it. I generally use the 50 for using the camera. Just closing this back now. What else is to say about the camera? In front of it we have a Carl Zeiss lens. It's a 12 times zoom plus another 12 times clear zoom. The sensor itself is a full frame sensor, so 1-inch sensor, and it has 20 megapixels in total. Nevertheless, it records full HD or 4K if you pay for the upgrade, which is really expensive, and the camera is not the cheapest either. So I'm not sure why Sony charges you so much money for just upgrading to 4K capabilities. Nevertheless, we can find the clear zoom. It's pretty usable, to be honest. It has 24 times zoom in total then. It also says on the side here 24 times clear image zoom with digital extender. You can switch it on and off here. I'm using it sometimes if I need to be honest. Of course I prefer not to, but nevertheless you don't see that much quality decrease if you're using it. So even if you I really want the full 24 times zoom now, the sensor has a lot of megapixels, so it just makes the smaller size on the sensor, or uses a smaller part of the sensor to zoom. It works. As I said, you will not have such a big quality decrease at the end. Nevertheless, if you don't really need it, then probably don't use it. Otherwise, I think that's all said about the camera. I'm really satisfied with the image quality if I'm using it. There are some other cameras you can compare to that, to be honest. I tried some Canon cameras with the same price tag approximately. Nevertheless, I prefer the Sony, to be honest. The Canon didn't really convince me with low light focusing. There's a lot of focus pumping going on, even with lights where I say, okay, the normal DSLR can focus here, why shouldn't the camera with full frame sensor with an aperture of 1.8 be possible to do that? But nevertheless it didn't manage, so that was a no-go. And there is a Panasonic in the same price range, which is probably 50% more of size and really old technology compared to that one, which is about 1 year on the market now, maybe a bit less. The price tag, I'm not really sure how much it is in USD. In euro it's around 2,400. You should count another $500 probably for some extras like a Manfrotto remote for controlling zoom and focus if you put the camera on a high tripod or a tripod and you don't want to touch it, to avoid any not steady shots, let's say. You need SD cards, of course. You need a second battery for sure, because the small one Sony delivers, it doesn't really last long. It gives you probably some 60-70 minutes video capability if using a screen. Otherwise you need to change the battery, and the charging takes quite a while, so be sure you need at least another 1 or 2 batteries if you want to use it for professional use and you want to change the battery and continue recording and charge the other ones at the same time. If you have any questions concerning the camera or you want to know about, feel free to leave me a comment. If you like the video, I would like you to subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, see you soon.